27 new drivers on the grid. 50% of the grid is basically based on young drivers. Part of them will be part of the McLaren Trophy Academy. So it's a new era that is starting now from Monza. And let's see, we are looking to grow in terms of grid during the season, but we are building our future.
You say about lots and lots of new drivers. Way back there on row 5 is Michael O'Brien. He's the reigning champion, way out of position.
Yeah, you know, new teams coming, new drivers coming, also from other series. So we expect that this championship this year will be more challenging compared to the past. But we are proud about all the drivers we have, the young drivers, the gentleman drivers.
Yeah. First day of school. Hopefully everyone's behaving. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
A good racing prospect, that is, for sure. Right, Tommy, back to you. I was asking questions about the sort of admin, the push to pass, the pit stops. Let's go for it.
Yes, pretty much untouched in terms of the format. 300 seconds of push to pass, which is a great little gadget that we have here with McLaren Trophy. There's plenty of that to come, but a lot of straights at Monza. So these guys, if they're too greedy on the push to pass, they'll run out of extra boost, and that means. When they have the extra boost is 620 horsepower. That's these are really powerful machines. I was actually looking at the lap times for the GT3. Just finished the practice now, and the top time was at 46.3. And you look at the poleman at Trophy, he's done a 46.7. So we're only looking at 4/10ths slower than the top GT3 car. I'm sure the GT3s will go faster in qualifying, but it's very impressive.
Yeah, we were talking last year about the pace of these cars. Let's hear from another of the drivers first. Hugo Back sharing with Will Martin.
Well, lots of new driver pairings up and down the grid and not very far from the front. In fact, starting in the second row is you, Hugo. Is it a good place to be?
Yeah, it's a good place. We're pretty happy. My teammate did a great job this morning. He could be a bit better. I know he's a bit frustrating because he was aiming for a bit more, but I'm pretty happy with this. We could fight easily with the guys in front. So yeah, pretty happy for the first one here.
Nervousness looking down that way to that chicane at the end. It's always a nervy start, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's his mission right now. I'm in a good position for the moment. No, yeah, it should be pretty fun. We're in a good position. I mean, to go through the first chicanes. I'm not too much stressed with this one.
Let's get you off the grid. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Hugo Back from, guess what, Lamborghini Super Trofeo. He's co-driver, the start driver, Will Martin, who's done a lot of Porsche racing, runner-up in the British Championship, third in the North American Championship as well. So interesting switch to these cars. Pick a winner. It's almost impossible, isn't it?
What a great problem to have, isn't it?
Quite.
I mean, there's such good talent across the field, and this is, again, what this championship is looking at with the the McLaren Academy, the Trophy Academy, which is to really lure these young drivers that have talent and fill the grid with so much opportunity there for them to shine. So yeah, great. I think Will Martin, his teammate said he was disappointed because he's a very competitive lad, but he is on the second row of the grid and leading the Greystone GT entry there for this start of race 1. Sorry, we're just mentioning Target Racing there. I said it was on the front row of the grid. It's not on pole position, but second. But what a great start for a new team in the series, Target Racing, second and third on the grid. Great show.
Now, word about Michael O'Brien, because Bryn touched on this. He's got a new co-driver in Josh Mason, but a long way back on the grid. So is that because they're gelling as a partnership, didn't get a clear lap, issue in qualifying? Do we know?
Didn't get a chance to catch up with them to find out exactly what the problem was, but obviously something is not right there. I mean, these guys have a lot more pace than what's showing right now. So I'm sure that we'll see them come through the field. I'm a big supporter of both those guys. Michael O'Brien, just an absolute pro, and Josh Mason, just really fantastic speed. And for a guy who's really not done a huge amount of racing compared to some of the guys he's racing against. So I think that's definitely one pair to watch for sure.
Yeah, and Josh, in a sense, could do with a good result, not just this weekend, but this season, because his reputation got a little bit of a knock, didn't it, for his involvement in that accident in the Spa 24 Hours when he was on a slow lap to the pits and ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there was quite a sizable accident, and he was okay, but lots of cars were out of the race. But a few people said, oh, it was down to him. Well, whether it was or it wasn't, he now can prove to people how good he is. Came out of single-seater racing, didn't he? He's one of a number of drivers that started off thinking Formula One and then goes the sports car route. There is an example of the Artura, another of the Greystone cars. That's the Will Martin Hugo Back entry. Will Martin to start. And as we say, a rolling start these days. So rather than a 1x1 staggered grid, 2x2 rolling start. Chance to get some warmth into the Pirelli tyres. The Paddock Motorsport car there of Callum Davis and Luca Magnussen. Callum Davis, who's been a very rapid driver in the UK in Ginetta Championships and then GT4, and Luca Magnussen, part of the fabled family. Right, green flag lap underway. You saw number 111, the Edgar Pierre started car. And that is another one that is going to be in the mix, I would have thought, starting 8th on the grid. The Monza circuit, fabulous one for the drivers. Yes, there's this fiddly first chicane, but then it starts to flow, and it's not changed too much over the years, apart from really down here at this first chicane. Let's look at the grid quickly. Pole position to Lorenzo Montero, and Alessandro Fabi is going to line up with him on the front of the grid, ahead of Largin Ali and Will Martin on row 2. Will Aspin is on the 3rd row with Gregor Yates for company. Callum Davis starts on row 4 alongside Edgar Pierre, and ahead of Fabio Oliveri, and Josh Mason starts 10th. 11th is where you find Fernandino Daria and William Gosselin, ahead of Eric Behrens and Cedric Limer, another convert from Lamborghini Super Trofeo Racing. There's Stephen Lake driving for Paddock Motorsport, although he has his own team in British GT. Charlie Martin, a late addition to the entry for Target Racing next, ahead of Bill Fennick. And then the Trinidad and Tobago driver, David Coelho. Ron Trenker is on the back row of the grid, lining up alongside Aston Miller. He's well out of position, isn't he, Aston Miller? So he's going to be a man to watch, I would have thought, in that first few laps.
Absolutely, another driver with a lot of pace, and you watch him through the first few laps, as you say. Monza, very unique in the sense where it funnels into that first chicane, a very, very long stretch before they come to the braking there. So, but I'm sure Miller will be trying to find positions in that first lap, but they have to be careful. It's all to lose for in the first corner. But what an exciting prospect to see these pro guys, especially fighting off, all 20, whatever, some of them, into turn 1. Yeah, we'll see who comes out first.
And this rolling start, I think, is another good thing, because if you're coming into McLaren Trophy with a view to long-term being a GT driver, you need to learn that discipline, don't you?
Yes, I think in some respects, some people say it's a shame that we didn't stay with the standing start, because that was kind of a unique thing about the series. But with these very powerful cars, I think it was the right thing to move on to the rolling starts. Of course, that changes the side of the pole position. Last year, pole position was on the left side because it was a standing start. But as you see now, the pole man on the right-hand side.
So the cars now making their way up to the Parabolica. They'll turn through the right-hander, and then that brings them in turn up to the pit straight, and then we get set ready to go racing here in this opening round of McLaren Trophy Europe. Pole position in the Gulf colours, the traditional colours of SMC Motorsport for Lorenzo Montero, and then it is Alessandro Fabi on the outside as the cars then now come through the Parabolica, ready to go racing. They run down towards turn 1. Of course, they've got to be neat and tidy and precise in the grid positions. They can't be sloppy. Trevor Williams, the race director, will stamp down on.
¿Habéis oído eso?
One or two really quick on the run down towards turn 1 to jump out of the queue. It is going to be from pole position then. Montero, who leads, with Fabi slotting in behind him. Another good getaway made by Largam Ali. He goes to the inside line, and they're not all going to make the corner, surely. I think it's going to be on the outside there. Yes, Fabi that gets roughed up a little bit, and he drops place after place after place. There's another one through the gravel. It could have been a lot worse, but you can see the perils of turn 1. You end up being crowded out and tumbling down the order, Tommy.
Yeah, not a great start ever, one of the SMC cars on the grass for a long time. So he had absolutely no traction, zero traction when you're on the grass, and lost many positions there. But, on a field of 20-odd plus cars, to get through that first chicane with that minimal amount of incident, that's pretty good. There's a bumper there coming off the car, and one car going straight on the Variante 2, so I didn't see the number there.
So the cars now then make this run up through the first of the Lesmo bends, with Montero looking as though he is getting away a little bit here. So he's having a good run, trying to pull clear of the pack as they again charge their way now down towards the Ascari chicane for the first time, and as they do so, Montero from Larghimali, a good start. Alessandro Fabi is the one that
trying to defend car 23, which is the paddock motorsport of Callum Davis, and which, by the way, had a great start to be in P3 there. That's a car that's the one that lost its bodywork, I think, earlier on in the race.
And bits of debris dropping from that car. We'll try and see, is it 33 conceivably, which would make it the Will Martin Hugo back entry. So that was mid-grid, wasn't it? So that's really had a bad first lap. Right, Lorenzo Montero leads at the end of lap 1 from Larghimali in second place. Callum Davis has had a ripper first lap up to third. Callum, much underrated driver, but going great guns here. He started 7th and 3rd at the end of the opening lap, but he's not done yet.
Yeah, he's pressuring the P2 that almost looking to pass into turn 1, but saw, you know, it was best to heed that one, and now fighting to Variante 2. So this could happen there on turn 4 into the second chicane.
So Callum, who comes from a family of swimmers rather than racing drivers, but went karting and absolutely fell in love with it. Can't quite clear Larghimali coming up towards the Variante Ascari, Variante Roggia, but not for the want of trying. He's all over the back of Larghimali, but that's enabling Lorenzo Montero to pull away up front, isn't it, now, as they come into the Lesmo bend. So Callum Davis has to think again about where he might be able to make a move. We understand the start's going to be looked at after the race, but that's perhaps a matter of course these days, rather than suggesting anybody deserves a penalty. Montero getting away. Second is Ali. Third is Davis. Fourth is Edgar Pierre. And Will Martin's damaged car has pitted at the end of lap 1. So what did Hugo back say? It was Will Martin's problem to get through the first chicane and all of that. I'm afraid prophetic words, because he's been bitten as Will Martin, and it looks like their race is effectively over already.
Yes, at the start we saw that there were 2 or 3 cars that were slightly misaligned there from the start, so maybe that's why they're looking at the start from that point of view. But you can see the debris still. Some cars just ran over it there coming out of the Ascari chicane. It's right in the middle of the road, so that could be a bit of a problem.
As long as a bit of tyre, or a big chunk of tyre now that's stretched across the racetrack there. Trevor Williams, the race director, will have a look and think, well, I might need a full course yellow here to get rid of that. As you see Fernandino Daria going through, coming up towards the timing line in number 12, but he's lost a place on that lap as Daria. So through they come with Lorenzo Montero now leading by 1.7 seconds from Larghimali. Still third is Callum Davis. Good first couple of laps. Edgar Pierre is fourth. William Gosselin is fifth. Alessandro Fabi in the white and orange colours is sixth. Battle on for seventh as Daria battles with Gregor Yates, who just avoid contact.
Was that Alessandro Fabi he nearly avoided contact with? Because that's Fabi really was the bigger loser here on the first opening lap, from the front row back to 6th position.
Yeah, he seemed to get shuffled out of the queue a little bit coming into the chicane, and he was still dropping midway around the lap, wasn't he? He was really put off his stroke there. So Alessandro Fabi has had a tough time of it. We're getting track limit warnings coming thick and fast for 81, Gregor Yates, but he was the driver that's just been nearly up the escape road down at the first chicane. Number 1 you were looking at was Josh Mason. So with reigning champion Michael O'Brien as his co-driver, Josh Mason in 9th place here. Still a bit of work to do. Race leaders currently work lap number 3. We are thinking of a pit window between 18 and 28 minutes of 45 in this, so we're not there yet. What Montero wants to do is build up as big an advantage as he can before he gives way to Lucas Valk.
Doing a great job on that score, David. So Montero really with a clean start and already a gap there establishing to P2.
The Will Martin car, by the way, still stuck in the pit lane. The Greystone GT car of Josh Mason with the Army livery on the bonnet goes through 9th, looking to try to make a move on Gregor Yates. Is Fabi rebuilding his race? Not really. He still doesn't seem to be in a rhythm, does he, as this battle rages on. We saw it a lap ago between Fernando Daria and Gregor Yates, and Yates is going to line up, I think, to have another go. He got past and then outbrakes himself at the chicane and lost the place. Back again, another of the SMC cars goes through. Eric Behrens going by as well, the Alfab driver. Fastest lap of the race currently claimed by Fabi. So Now perhaps that he's not having to fight with anybody, he can get away. The speed is there and being crowded towards the grass down at the chicane. Trying to work out who forced up the escape road there. Was that Oliveri? And there's another one that's gone off as well. So as the leaders work lap 4, more shuffling of the order, and as they now come towards the Rogia chicane. Yes, Olivieri dropping down to 10th place, so up to 8th goes Daria, 9th Josh Mason, and the rest of the pack shuffles a little bit accordingly as well. But Montero now with quite an advantage, challenge being made. There, nearly contact as the two of them get to the Lesmo bend. Oliveri ahead of Cedric Lima there, new to the championship. Auto Vitesse, who have run Cedric for years in Lamborghini races, also new to McLaren racing this year. And the livery of Cedric Lima's car a throwback to an earlier period in McLaren's Formula One life with the tobacco advertising on the top of it. So through the Ascari chicane, the leaders come. And Alessandro Fabi, tell you what, he really is pressing on this lap because he's done 2 absolute best sectors following on from the fastest lap of the race. You're looking at the white and orange car of Alessandro Fabi. He's closing on Edgar Pierre, coming now down through the Parabolica, but Fabi, yeah, he certainly got roughed up on the first lap, but now he's sort of steadied the ship, hasn't he? He's kept his cool, he's regrouped, and now he's going again.
Yeah, for sure, Fabi had a lot of pace. In qualifying, was only a 10 behind pole position, so but obviously didn't have a very good first lap, and having to sort of recover from that, and now he's on clean air. They're now fighting for P3. That's coming into the first chicane. Now a bit of contact.
Getting away with it, Edgar Pierre in 4th place in that black and gold car, fending off Alessandro Fabi. We know that we've lost Will Martin with the damage. The incident is being looked at, and it involves not only Will Martin but also Will Aspin. So when we say it'll be investigated after the race, that means when the driving standards advisor has left the commentary box, because Mr. T. Erdos of this parish fulfills that role as well, don't you?
Yes, I'm afraid that's the other hat I have to wear this weekend, and now with more cars on the grid, it's more likely for to have these kind of meetings after the commentary. So, but yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what they say.
But perhaps it also illustrates hard racing as well. If you've got a few things to look at, of course the drivers will have a difference of opinion, but hard racing, the first lap, I suppose, inevitably something will happen. And we've already said it, that first chicane, doesn't matter what the category, it is always a pinch point with that switchback nature and so many cars. Lorenzo Montero, though, has now taken the fastest lap of the race away from Alessandro Fabi, and he's doing a good job here. He's built a nice lead, hasn't he? And he's not done it through erratic driving or bouncing over curb. He's just smoothly, on initially cold tyres, got on with the job.
Just looking at his lap times from the beginning of the race, really very consistent, very, very steady, and well, very fast, but very consistent. Lorenzo, incidentally, the cousin of Tiago Montero, ex-Formula 1 driver. In fact, had a podium, didn't he, in the Jordan F1 in Indianapolis?
Yes,
there
indeed.
You go. So. Bit of Formula 1 history there from Lorenzo. He's certainly got the right genes there, leading the first race here at Monza.
I was wondering if there was a family connection. I thought the surname was too good to be not connected. Started off in Caterham racing, did Lorenzo, in the International Series. Right, side by side, go Alessandro Fabi on the inside. Edgar Pierre just about stays ahead. But then as Pierre defends coming down towards turn one, he puts himself on the wrong line. Is he going to get away with it? Yes, he is. He hops and skips over the curve. They're all being reeled in, though, now by William Gosselin, who is next in the queue. So some good battles developing here, and Fabi getting a little bit frustrated because he can't find a way past Edgar Pierre. He's tried for lap after lap, but it's not happening for him.
No, and Edgar had his boost there. You can see the boost being activated when you see the effectively what looks like daytime running lights flashing. So for some of the viewers that don't know McLaren Racing Trophy, when you see those those lights flashing, not the ones that are flashing now on the screen, they are just to get out of the way, flashing the high beams, but the daytime running lights. When you see them flashing, then the driver has activated the boost button, which again gives them an extra 35 brake, which helps overtake the car in front.
Does it ever? So there you can see the lights are flashing as the boost is used by Fabi. As he comes down towards the Variante Ascari, goes underneath the bridge, which is where the bank circuit crosses over, the oval circuit for the so-called Race of Two Worlds, going back to the late 1950s when the Indianapolis Star Racing was brought to Monza. It's incredibly steep, that banking as well. Barely does a season go by without a championship using it for a photo shoot. People clamber up it and then tumble down. There is then the train of cars from second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth and back coming down now towards the Parabolica. Talking of steadying the ship, Largim Ali has done the same for second place because he's managed to stave off, I think, that challenge of Callum Davis.
Yes, great job by Ali there. Another new driver to the series and doing incredibly well.
And Callum Davis, new to this, having come from the GT4 European Series last year, and as his father was saying to me last night, it's a good brand to be associated with, is McLaren, so they're looking forward to a good season here, as again Fabi thinks about making a move against Edgar Pierre, who defends, but he's got to get himself towards the line for the corner, and he misses the apex for the first part. Fabi might have the momentum now to make a move coming out the other side, nose to tail. Alessandro Fabi with nowhere to go. Is he going to be brave enough at the Curva Grande? I suspect not, but the move coming up to the Roggia chicane starts now, but then you saw all the lights are flashing on Edgar Pierre's car, which means he's on the boost just to get away slightly from Fabi, who thinks about the inside line, but he's not close enough.
And that's down to, again, the boost there, very strategic there by Edgar to get his boost activated after he came out of the first chicane, and obviously that made it impossible to be overtaken into the second chicane. So great work there. Fabi obviously frustrated because he's got a bit more pace. He wants to get through. Also, he's on dirty air, and he needs to look after temperatures. I mean, if you're behind the car for too long, your brake cooling is not getting the fresh air to keep those brakes nice and cool throughout the race. Very important here at Monza, where you have high speeds, braking to low speeds. These drivers have to be thinking about these things now.
And of course the other problem for Fabi in the orange and white car here, the car that started on the outside of the front row, run by Target Racing, is the longer he's stuck behind Edgar Pierre, the more likely William Gosselin is to get onto his tail, and Gregor Yeats behind, and then in 8th place now Josh Mason. So there's a whole queue of cars building up, and he doesn't really want to be defending, he wants to be on the attack, but Edgar Pierre has done a good job of defending, as again, look, Fabi looks to the inside, and more details about this. The pit window, 18 to 28 minutes of the race is the pit window. If you're on your own, if you're in the AM class, I should say, you have to do 93 seconds line to line, and if you're in the Pro-Am class or you're in the Pro class, it is 90 seconds line to line, as you look at a very big bite of curb being taken there by Ferdinando Daria as he bounces his way through the Ascari chicane. These cars seem to handle the curbs pretty well, I've got to say. They don't seem to be phased by them. Drivers using it as very much part of the racing line. So a fair few cars with a bit of damage already in this.
Yes, I mean, probably most of it happened in lap 1, but we've got to say I was very surprised that we didn't have any more incidents there, given the size of the field and how competitive these guys are. But yeah, talking about users of curbs all the way around the circuit, these cars, they do use them quite well, but they have obviously track limits at different places, and we can see already quite a few of them using a little bit more than what they're supposed to. Of course, that's cumulative, so the driver that comes in second will have to know exactly if he's hanging on those, and that will obviously have an effect on their race, so they need to wind that in a little bit.
Yeah, true enough. This is a circuit where you don't perhaps have quite the same propensity to exceed track limits like some, because you haven't got all the runoff tarmac. Yes, you've got escape roads at the first and second chicanes, but largely it's grass or gravel, which tends to sharpen the focus.
That's it, yeah. I think the only other point really is the entry to Ascari, where they use a little bit too much curb on the entry on the left. But they have here, the Monza, they have cameras on all of those points.
Yeah.
So it's very, so we have a contact there, Lesmo 1.
Or hip and shoulder. I think Josh Mason was in the middle of all of that. He was. And that
NH Collection Hotels and Resorts. Hoteles únicos en destinos excepcionales. Reserve en nhcollection.com.
Because Josh was really having a good run in the last sort of 2 or 3 laps. Looking at his lap times, he was steadily sort of climbing up. But yeah, that's definitely put a bit of a stop on that.
So yeah, Josh Mason disappointing that and giving Michael O'Brien more work to do in that second stint as the incoming driver. So let's have another look. It all got a bit busy coming out of the chicane. You'll see Olivieri dive to the inside and wasn't really fully alongside. Josh did a good job of hanging on to that, didn't spin, didn't end up in the gravel. Yes, he lost momentum in places, but could have been worse.
He looked a bit ambitious, didn't he? Like from Olivieri's point of view, I think he put his nose in there a little bit on the late side, but again, we'll have a look at in the court room and see what happened.
Pit window is open. When you look at the incidents like this, do you have extra cameras? Do all the cars have onboards for judicial purposes, for example?
Indeed, all cars carry cameras. We have obviously outside feeds and of course cameras from other cars that are nearby that will be able to give us a full round view. So and we always do that. We always give the benefit of the doubt of the situation really, and look at every angle that we can possibly look at.
Well, the pit window is open, and Josh Mason, having had that bit of hip and shoulder, is into the pit lane as another battle rages on here. Look, coming up towards the Curva Grande. So this is the car of Olivieri trying to make some further progress. You've also got Daria in the pack as well. So Josh Mason is in, Cedric Leimer is in, Eric Behrens is in, Edgar Pierre is in. And the order shuffles accordingly. Lorenzo Montero suggesting that he might not be far off making his mandatory pit stop. I think aims to go out with a flourish, because he's not only done the fastest lap on lap 4, but he could be doing it again here. He's just done an absolute best within sector 1. And he's not seen another car really since the start of the race, has he? He's just cleared off into the distance.
Absolutely solid job there on Montero. Nothing, hasn't put a foot wrong yet, and of course he was the pole position man starting this race. Of course, in this race there's no success penalties, but tomorrow, of course, depending on the result of this race, they'll be getting first place 7 seconds, second place 5 seconds, and 3 seconds for third place for tomorrow's race.
That's Stephen Lake getting out of the paddock car and handing number 7 therefore over to Max Tarillion. Lorenzo Montero, another lap done. And as he breaks the beam, another fastest lap of the race. There you go. It was predicted a 1:48.573, quicker than he did early on. So having done that, he comes over the line and finds Michael O'Brien ahead of him. Michael will fight like crazy now to stay on the lead lap, won't he?
Absolutely. That's the only way we know Michael to drive. He's a great racer, and he knows it's the leader behind him. But he has a very competitive nature, and yeah, he won't make it easy for him.
No, very true. Michael, second generation racer. His dad, Mike O'Brien, was a good single-seater racer in the late 70s, early 80s. Raced for a time, did Mike, in the British Touring Car Championship with the Holden Commodore, which was a great sounding car. Didn't perhaps generate the wins that he would have hoped for, but it always sounded fantastic, as you can imagine. And Michael wins in historics, wins in modern GT cars. He just delivers, doesn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, one of your fellow commentators, Eugene O'Brien. That's the same. Is that the same family?
Same family, yeah.
Yes.
Eugene O'Brien
There you
was another touring car racer.
Yes.
Drove for Peugeot for a time, you're right. Came out of Formula First. Eugene was in the first year of Formula First. And there's another connection to that here this weekend, because you've got Ruben Del Sart, the son of Rail Del Sart, who was in that year. Yawn with your mouth closed, Tommy, here.
Yeah, I know. So you said that name, so I raced against Del Sart.
There you go.
That was a long time ago. There you go.
Back to the plot.
Yes.
Going through the chicane is Josh Mason's car, now with Michael O'Brien at the wheel. And actually, you can see the pace that Montero's got, because he's closer now, isn't he, than at the start of the lap. It's not Michael pulling away. Montero does aim to put a lap on him, and debris flies. What was that?
Was there contact? I didn't see. I didn't look like they contacted, but something flew out of the back of O'Brien's car. Not sure what that was.
And so he just slightly misjudged it and skimmed the back. So if there wasn't contact, it was jolly close. And now Lorenzo Montero goes through a lap up on the reigning champions, although bear in mind Josh Mason did lose time in that little bit of contact effectively on his in-lap. The race has 23 minutes to go. The order shuffling all the time with these mandatory pit stops being served. Remember, the majority for the pros and pro-ams, 93 seconds line to line. Blue flag had been shown to Michael O'Brien, but yeah, that was jolly close if there wasn't contact. Callum Davis, by the way, has done an absolute best sector 1, and he's done a personal best lap as fuel load comes down. Here you go again. So look at Montero. He's very, very close, and there must have been contact there, because that bodywork suddenly looked distorted and then disappeared out of shot. But I'm trying to work out what it was, because as Michael O'Brien's car goes through the shot, there's nothing obvious that's missing off the back of it.
No, I was trying to see the back end of O'Brien's car, but obviously the camera didn't pan out on that replay enough to look at. But I can't see anything missing out of O'Brien's car, so it's a bit of a mystery.
And there's nothing off the front of Montero's car, is there? Plot thickens.
Anyway, they're both going, and that's the good news about it. So,
and whatever the bodywork was, it's expendable, clearly, so it's not going to affect the pace. There is the best of the stoppers, 81 now, which is the car that was Gregor Yeats, now Riccardo Ianiello. But again, that will get shuffled into the proper order once the lead car makes its pit stop. An incident involving Josh Mason and number 90, which is the car of Olivieri, now Vincenzo Scarpetta, is going to be looked at after the race. Notice the queue of judicials has to take place after the race, because your man is on the wrong side of the circuit. But anyway, you can have a late night, Tommy.
well, it's a good thing I book a flight out on Monday and Sunday night, because there could be a long one on Sunday as well, but we'll see.
And I hope you brought a packed dinner, because you won't be in the restaurant for a while. Somebody else that's really pressing on, now they've got behind the wheel of a car, is perhaps no surprise. 88, which is the Alfab car. Eric Barron started. He's given away to Alejandro Geppert, who's a former champion. And there, look, diving up on the inside, number 23 is Callum Davis, wriggling his way through the traffic. But Geppert, we know he's good. Last year he had woeful luck, but we know he's a very fast driver. Next one to the pit lane, that's Will Aspin coming in. And that's got a Damocletian investigation hanging over it as well from the first lap of the race.
And the cloud of brake dust there just came out of the car.
Then we start to look at the relative pace of the incoming drivers. Lucas Valcra from Italian GT, from Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Hands over to a different sort of race car for this year. So fascinating backgrounds of different drivers now all fetching up on the same grid.
Yes, and Lucas, is he the youngest brother of Kevin? Yes.
So a 10-minute window, and we have a few minutes left. So down the pit lane come the next wave. Montero staying out. Largimali is in. Callum Davis is in. But Lorenzo Montero has got to be in at the end of this lap, otherwise he's going to run out of time, isn't he?
Absolutely. So the window closes at the 28th minute. So between 18 and 28, they can pit. He must cross that entry line before, well, 27.999.
And the lead car, looking on our tracker, is heading up to the Curva Grande. It might be marginal, this, for him, because he's got under a minute to get back to pit lane. So the pit stop time. You can see counting down. That's all studied by race control as well to make sure that nobody is under the regulation time. If they are, then penalties will come. You want to be just a 10th over to be safe, not a 10th under if you can avoid it. So we're currently on lap number 15, and there is only now the lead car of Lorenzo Montero that has not made the regulation pit stop. Others are cycling through. There is the 23 Callum Davis, now Luca Magnussen car. Number 12 sits in the pit lane for Ferdinando Daria to give way to Dimitrios Papanastasiou, who, if you go back a long way, you might remember racing in Formula Renault in the UK before he went back to Greece and built up a business and went karting for a bit of fun, and then the fire was rekindled and back he came. So it's good to have Dimi Papas on the grid this year. They're coming into the right-hander of Parabolica, those that have already made pit stops. And I think the leader this time is in, and he's just going to get there in time, isn't he? So Lorenzo Montero now is the last of the stoppers, and he's done that with about half a minute to spare. So yeah, he's orchestrated that beautifully.
Great work by a very experienced team. Former champions of the series, twice champion of the series, I believe, SMC, and doing incredibly well there. Timing it just right, and so you always try to leave it late if you can, because if there's a safety car out there, you can benefit from that. But yeah, it was a little bit close, that one, but he made it into the pits in the right time.
Indeed so. And there are one or two drivers who'd quite like a safety car now to bring them back into the mix, wouldn't they? But we'll see what pans out. In this race, Montero then was looking at something like a 4-second advantage. Largi Mali's car that was in second place now has Christian Brooks at the wheel. So you've got completely different drivers. Tyre pressures being checked on the lead car. There's not a lot you can do in the pit stops other than tyre pressures and maybe adjustments. But really the key to this is making sure you don't release the car too early.
That's it. The timing of it is obviously crucial for that, and of course you don't want to give away any time, so you try to, time it to perfection. But as we've seen in the past, sometimes that comes to bite you.
Indeed so. Just see the second place car with now Christian Brooks at the wheel of it, charging on. Here he comes down towards the Parabolica. The race lead car has just made its way down the pit lane, but still at the regulation pit lane speed, so not flat out. So the gap looks a huge one at the moment, but it will, of course, be much truncated when this car comes over the line. There's the leader out of the pit lane. Now comes then Lucas Valkra at the wheel, and he will pass the white line and then be able to swing across the racetrack and get the line for the corner. But this is the lap that he's into the car. He's got to explore what it feels like, what the circuit feels like, whereas behind him, Christian Brooks is a lap already into the stints. He's a little bit more confident in the car.
Yes, everything's warmed up, and he will be doing, effectively, potentially a second or so lap faster than Valky coming out of the pits now. So that advantage they had of about 4 seconds doesn't look like he'll be able to maintain that.
go along with that. Bit of damage there, evident on the back of number 12, Dimitrios Papanastasiou's car. That might be a legacy rather than him of his co-driver in the first stint. But the Greek driver, Papanastasiou, goes now through the Curva Grande. Just wonder whether that's the kind of bodywork that might get a scrutineer to say, bring it in. All it needs is a little bit of sticky tape or just wrench the thing off. But the air is not doing it for him.
No, with a bit of luck, that will actually come unattached. But at the moment, it's just flapping in the wind there. It's really not doing anything to the car. A little bit of aerodynamic flutter there. I don't think it's going to really impact on his speed. But as you say, the scrutineers might be looking at that and thinking, you know, is this going to be a black and orange flag?
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
The fear being that it flies into the face of another car or goes over a barrier, maybe. Christian Brooks really pressing on, isn't he, in the orange car in second place then. Third is Luca Magnussen. So the gaps, I reckon, have come down a little bit between the top three, and somebody's had a big old ride there. It's that number 90 that's gone through the gravel. That would make it Vincenzo Scarpetta over at the second Lesmo curve. Got out the other side anyway, as there up towards the line comes Christian Brooks. So Lucas Valcra has steadied the ship, hasn't he, as that lap has unwound, because the gap as he comes across the line is 2.8 seconds, and this is his first flying lap. So now we'll get at the end of the next one a better idea of the pace of him compared to Christian Brooks. Luca Magnussen is in third place. In fourth now is 81, which was Gregor Yates. It's now Riccardo Iannelio, who's therefore come up the order. Michael O'Brien is sixth, getting himself onto the back of Harry Burgoyne there. Harry back for another season, another graduate from single-seaters in the UK, and the most unorthodox career route of anybody in the family, because all the rest of the Burgoynes have been oval racers, stock car racers par excellence. The other half of the family, the Lapkas, they've always been on the ovals. Harry is the one that got away and went circuit racing.
You know, I wouldn't think stock car racing would translate to circuit racing, but I've heard and met actually a few drivers that have done stock car racing, including Ian McKellar, a guy that I used to race with, who, you know, turn out to be really fast guys on circuits. So it's obviously a good school.
Absolutely, you get to race on weird track surfaces. Car control part of it. Derek Warwick, former world champion in Superstock, went on to win Le Mans. I've driven one, I've not raced, but yeah, they are, yes, it's a totally different world. But yeah, the Burgoynes in what we call saloon stock cars, recognisable stock cars with all the ironwork around. Harry and Ernie, the two brothers, they were absolutely formidable in the 1980s, early 1990s. But Harry Burgoyne Jr. has made the switch to circuit racing, and Lucas Valcra here is your race leader. And on this lap, he was slightly quicker in the first sector and slightly quicker in the second. So I think he might be able to carry on now, building that lead that was handed to him by Lorenzo Montero at the end of stint one.
Yes, somewhere they lost a second of that lead, and it makes you wonder, was it in the pit stops? Did Montero have a slow lap on the in-lap or through traffic or anything like that?
I think it was a slow pit stop because it was 92.6 seconds to 90.7. So they were cautious, they had enough in hand. It wasn't a lightning fast pit stop. Now it's just stretching out that gap again. Goes back to your point about, you know, being safer than sorry rather than being under, just slightly over. Now they can push on and try and rebuild that gap. The other one to watch further down, though, Tommy, is Alejandro Gapper, because he's up into 9th place aboard number 88, taking over from Eric Behrens, the Swedish driver. And Eric had a good first stint, despite the fact he's coached by one Joe Osborne. So Eric, very experienced racer himself, going quite strongly right now.
Yes, Eric showed incredibly strong performances last year in the Alfab car, and Gapper, a champion of the series already, a guy with a lot of speed, very, very fast.
Now this battle for second place is on, isn't it? Christian Brooks has been caught now by Luca Magnussen. We're getting a replay of Christian Brooks coming out of the Ascari chicane way wide over the gravel, over the curb. But Magnussen has got good pace and he's right there behind him. And then in fourth, you've got now number 81, which is Riccardo Iannello, closing on these two. So let's see what Magnussen can do. And again, very, very wide coming out of the chicane is Christian Brooks, and that seems to be the downfall. So let's see. Now, Luca Magnussen is on the prowl. He comes up to the outside line as they get to the corner and can't find a way through. So the ex-Carter GB4 single-seater racer last year, Luca Magnussen, making this look more like when rather than if he gets the place.
Yeah, so a really good line there through a parabolica. He should have a good toe, but they're both using the boost to pass buttons, so that would equalize the speed potentially there. But Magnussen, a whole second a lap faster on the last lap, and comes around the outside.
And in fairness, Brooks gives him as much room as he can. Magnussen will go through. Good racing by both of them. That Christian Brooks could have made that a lot scrappier, but he was prepared to give Magnussen the real estate. Luca Magnussen also didn't force the issue, didn't go clattering. It's in good, fair racing, I would suggest.
Hats off to Brooks there, I have to say. I really, really appreciated that from Brooks. Could have been easy contact there, and he just looked after Magnussen there. So let's hope that he can stay with Magnussen and maybe give him a fight.
Alessandro Fabi gave way to Patrick Schober, but they've had a 40-second time penalty because they pitted outside the window. They mistimed it, so the race has just gone from bad to worse for both, hasn't it?
There you go. So you're talking about being cautious. So here's a replay of the two guys coming into the chicane. And this is a...
Cámbiate y te mejoramos el precio de tu seguro directamente. Exactamente. Así es el seguro de moto de Línea Directa, uno de los mejor valorados en España. ¿Cómo es? Oh yeah. Llama o ven directo a lineadirecta.com.
It's a battle for the podium, and these guys came through to this. I think this will make a video in some kind of briefing room.
Exactly my thought. Absolutely, yeah. You can cut that up, sell it to every other race director, and use it as an example. Fair play. And a good bit of driving, as we say, by Luca Magnussen. Then he has gone through. Now, let's see what he can do about the race leader, because he's got clear real estate ahead of him for the first time for a long, long time. There in fourth place is Riccardo Iannello, former Italian GT champion. Iannello for the podium is a possibility. He's getting closer to Christian Brooks as well now as they come up over the line, and we've still got 8.5 minutes to go.
Absolutely. And O'Brien doing a great job there in P6, but I've just noticed on the board he's on a track limit warning. Is that his first one? Yes, it is. So I suppose he's got another life on that one, but he needs to watch out.
So they're out of the chicane. Magnussen, Brooks, Iannello go through, and as they do so, out of the Curva Grande, lead gap 4.3 seconds. That's your starting point between Lucas Valcra and Luca Magnussen. There you've got Alejandro Gapet in the Alfab car, the black and gold car, chasing after Dimi Papanastasiou now. So there's another place to be gained here for Gapet, and this is for the lead of the Pro-Am class, isn't it? So although they're squabbling 8th and 9th, it's the Pro-Am leadership battle, and Gapet, I think, is probably going to do this as they come up towards the chicane now. Still the bodywork is flapping on the back of Papanastasiou's car, but Gapet right there behind him.
Well, if the lap time's anything to go by, he'll definitely do it, because he was 1.2 seconds faster than the car in front. So Gapet showing his pace now, and he's got a lot of experience in these cars, so he just needs to find the right time to make the move.
Yeah, the fastest lap of the race, by the way, has been done now by number 50, which is the car run by paddock of Matt Higgins, another ex-single-seater racer. He's taken over from David Coelho, the Trinidad and Tobago-based driver, but Matt Higgins a long way back, but showing his speed, doing the fastest lap of the race. But I have my suspicions that Gapet, if he can clear Papanastasiou, would be able to do that as well. Battle on for second place now as they come through, sorry, for third place now, because you've got Iannello on the back of Brooks, up towards the line once more. As they come past the pits, the lead gap between Valcra and Magnussen is, this time around, 3.7 seconds. That time around, then, a fair bit quicker is Magnussen. Can he make up 3.7 seconds in 6.5 minutes? Don't think he can. Side by side into the chicane, they come here for third place. Brooks just fends off Iannello. He's had enough of being overtaken there. So this time, Brooks a bit more stout in the defence.
Yeah, Brooks, also another driver who is hanging on the track limit warning. He's actually been given the black and white flag, so he has no more lives, basically. Yeah. He needs to watch out now between now and the end of the race.
Oh, and a big, big send by Iannello on the inside here. Breaks late going into the chicane. He's done it, nicely done. Bounces over the curb, but that was full send, wasn't it? He was coming through. Hold my pint was the kind of attitude. That was his place. So Riccardo Iannello goes by, no question about it. And Christian Brooks now a little bit demoralised. 2 places lost, but although he defended well at the chicane, wasn't much he could do there. This little battle you can see is then Gapet ahead of Papanastasiou. In other words, we've had the change of lead for Pro-Am. That was always in the post, wasn't it, given the pace of Gapet?
We saw that coming. The pace for the previous lap was just too big. It was 1.2 seconds faster. So, and again, using all his experience in finding the right time to get through. So, great job there by Alexander Gapet. Again, a previous champion of the series.
Absolutely. The good to see Repet go on and up, wouldn't it, with McLaren into GT3 racing, but illustrating just how good he is in GT4 Plus machinery, if you like. The Spanish driver used to be part of the SMC squad, picked up by Eric Behrens to go and join him at Alfab, which is effectively Eric's team. Swedish flag for Eric Behrens on the rear wing of the car. So, race leader on lap 22, and we're into the last 5 minutes of what has turned out to be a very busy race. Battles up and down the order. Lots to discuss post-race, but Lucas Valcra, 3.5 seconds ahead now of Luca Magnussen. Last time around, Magnussen was quicker, but not by quite so much. So he is edging forward. There he is, Luca Magnussen, carrying on the good work from Callum Davis in that first stint, but not quite sure they're going to get there in time unless Valcra gets really badly held up by traffic. And there's not a lot of that up the road either. So it looks as though Valcra is going to be able to bring it home ahead. He only has to win by 1,000th of a second. Doesn't matter what the margin is as long as he wins. But Magnussen is throwing everything at this. And actually behind them, lapping quicker than both, is Riccardo Ianiello. So he is going after Magnussen as rapidly as Magnussen is going after this car, the leader, Lucas Valcra.
That last move from Ianiello was just pure commitment.
Yeah,
He's
totally.
really on a mission there.
Yeah, and you can see the way that he's got away from Christian Brooks and is much closer now to that car of Luca Magnussen. So as they go under the bridge, then under the banking, down towards the Ascari chicane, just under 4 minutes, 2 laps, maybe 3, and it is possible that Ianiello could get second place before the end of the race. That car, don't forget, had its dramas early on when Gregor Yeats had a moment at the chicane. It started 6th on the grid, but Riccardo Ianiello has certainly marked himself out today as being a man to watch, because boy, is he ever spectacular.
He is, and his pace is a little bit faster than Magnussen. He's sort of 3/10 on this last lap. So if he continues that, there'll definitely be a race to the flag there, that's for sure.
Well, Ianiello has just done the absolute best middle sector. So again, commitment. You know, the car's, okay, light on fuel, but the tyres have had quite a lot of hammer. They've already done 20 laps, 21 laps. And now as across the line comes Ianiello. The lead gap is 3.4 seconds. That time Magnussen does a personal best lap, but Ianiello is quicker again than the two ahead of him. So second place is a real possibility for Riccardo, but I don't think he's going to have time to go after Valcra, because we've got time for 2 more laps. There's this and 1 more I would offer you as they come now with a flying lap being a 1:48 at the minute, up through Curva Grande. This is the Variante Roggia, down towards the second of the chicanes, therefore they all pour now. Magnussen second. In third place, that man, Ianiello, who seems more committed to the curve than others as well. He's certainly got that car by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, it's a lovely line through there, and just using the right amount of curb without hurting the car. So Ianiello really looking impressive at this later stage of the race.
They're going through a little bit further back. Alejandro Gapet on target for a class win, but Luca Magnussen knows that he's got Ianiello behind him. Those flashing lights are get out of the way, Luca, not I'm on the boost, Luca. They're trying to distract him and force an error.
That's it, yeah, that's an old trick there. Racing driver's old trick there with the flashing light, trying to get the guy in front to just get a little bit unsettled, but these guys are too good for that, I think. And then maybe they're trying to trick him to say that they're putting the boost on, but to try and them to use it. But there's only, what, 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to go. 1 more lap after this one.
Absolutely. So you've got there, nose to tail, Luca Magnussen under attack now from Riccardo Ianiello. You could argue that some of this is down to track knowledge, because he's raced here in Italian GT, has Riccardo. It might be a different story when we get to Spa, for example. But why not use your home advantage? He comes over the timing line. Magnussen trying to fight back. Luca getting away fractionally as they come over the line, 0.4 of a second. But again, on that lap, the quicker of the 3 is Ianiello. It looks as though Lucas Valcra has enough in hand. And actually coming down to the first chicane for the last time, not close enough, Ianiello. So got to sit back, work out what he can do about Magnussen.
That was a good graphic illustration there of the push to pass button with the boost coming on Magnussen's car, but not Ianiello's. And Magnussen was just able to move away from Ianiello's front end there on the straight, and just have a little bit of breathing room there as he came into the first chicane.
So there through the second of the chicanes. Up the curb goes Luca Magnussen. He is under huge pressure from Riccardo Ianiello, but he's not putting a wheel wrong, doing an excellent job here, hanging on to position. Okay, it's costing them a chance of going after Valkyra, but Magnussen, racing one of these cars for the first time, rising to the occasion, doing a very good job indeed here.
Yeah, this is definitely going to go down to the wire. So the exit of the Ascari chicane now is the place where Magnussen really needs to make sure that he gets a good exit. You know, he doesn't want to invite Anello onto the inside of Parabolica. That would be disastrous for him. So here we go. This is really the last opportunity for Anello to make up some time on Magnussen, but I don't think he'll do it. I think Magnussen has just enough of a gap there to get through to the end.
I think you're right. So good driving by both of them, good battle. And although Lucas Valkyra and Lorenzo Montero will in real terms have led every lap, you've got to say we're set for a very good year of McLaren Trophy Europe, because I can't believe they're going to have it quite so easy tomorrow, and we've seen lots of other drivers prove their pace. But for a first win together, it is going to be honours for Lorenzo Montero and Lucas Valkyra. They win the first round of McLaren Trophy Europe and win it in style. Luca Magnussen and Callum Davis take second. Riccardo Ianiello on the lights again as he takes third place as the car comes over the line, the one that he shares with Gregor Yeats. In fourth place, it is going to be Christian Brooks and Largim Ali. Fifth to Harry Burgoyne. He brings the car home, having it been started by Will Aspin, although that's got an investigation over it. And sixth, in the end, is Alessio Deleda, another Italian GT star with William Gosselin. That car dropped away a bit after the pit stops, but he fought back to sixth. Alejandro Gapet, seventh to win Pro-Am from Dimitris Papanastasiou. And ninth, Julien Piguet to win Am, taking over from Cedric Lima. So lots of first-time winners. And how nice is it to see a big grid of cars? 21 here, 20 raced, because David Aspin standing down, but really good racing all the way through. And drama for Michael O'Brien.
Did he cross the flag?
I thought he had, and that's coming out of the second chicane, I would offer you. Or is it on the last lap? No, you're right. It is on the last lap. He has not made it to the flag. Could that be something as silly as fuel? That's at the Roger chicane.
Yeah, it's unlikely that it's few. I mean, this is, of course, here at Monza, we reduced the race time because it's such a long time on flat-out throttle that consumption is an issue. But with the 45-minute max time, they all should have made it.
Curiouser and curiouser. So, no, Michael O'Brien, the reigning champion, does not make it to the flag. I thought, given where he was around the racetrack, that meant he'd cross the line. But no, he has not got there. So no points and a really tough day. Josh Mason being roughed up early on, and poor old Michael not getting to the line. So big disappointment for him. The cars that we need for the podium will be waved through. The cars that we don't will be waved into the paddock. Well, you're going to have a long night potentially with a few incidents, but the good news is we've had some great racing as we look at the result. Just to confirm the top 10, Lorenzo Montero, Lucas Valkyra, your winners from Callum Davis and Luca Magnussen, Gregor Yeats and Riccardo Ianiello, third from Largim Ali and Christian Brooks, fifth going to Will Aspin and Harry Burgoyne Jr., William Gosselin and Alessio Deleda, sixth. Eric Behrens and Alejandro Gapet, seventh to win Pro-Am from Ferdinando Dauria and Dimitris Papanastasiou. The ninth place crew winning Am, Cedric Lima and Julien Piguet from Flavio Olivieri and Vincenzo Scarpetta. Well, busy way to start the season, eh?
Busy, but I like, I mean, the fact that we're going to have a busy judicial room, that's okay, because what we had is some good battles and lots of new drivers bringing a lot of excitement to the championship, so that's really something to look forward to. And yeah, I'd say very impressed by Ianiello there, towards the end of the race there. His pace, his commitment, overtaking, and yeah, so, but yeah, quite a few others as well that really showed very well in their first outing. And of course, Montero in the first part of the race was absolutely flawless.
A great effort by race winners Lucas Valkyra and Lorenzo Montero. They will, the incoming drivers, step from the cars, get their Pirelli winners' caps, and we'll have a chance to hear from the victorious drivers. But excellent work done by Lorenzo Montero in that first stint. It's come a long way from the Toyota's Caterham 7 series that ran internationally, and Lucas Valkyra making that switch from Lamborghini to McLaren. What a way to start their partnership together. Both of them good lap times, neither of them making a mistake, and that's almost your dream ticket, isn't it?
Absolutely, just a great performance there by the team as well. I mean, like you said, during the pit stops as well, maybe even if they lost a second in the pits, you know, it's always best to be safe and make sure the car goes out. There is Emilio there in the picture, the team principal of SMC there. They run a fantastic operation there. Great competitors, and fully deserve the win there by the crew of the number 28.
Yeah, Emilio De Villota Jr., his father you might remember as a Formula One driver at the turn of the 1970s into 1980s, raced Emilio Sr. in the British Formula One Championship to try and qualify for some Formula One World Championship Grand Prix. Luca Magnussen rather there, out of the car. So near and yet so far, 3.7 seconds back. Had he not had to worry about Iannello, he might have got a bit closer, but I don't think he would ever quite have got near enough to attack for a win.
Not quite. I think Valkyrie had enough in hand. I think we saw that he was actually catching up with the leader a little bit, and then you saw Valkyrie just step up the pace just enough to have that gap. Yeah.
So the drivers will make their way to the podium in due course, but Bryn Lucas has been dispatched first of all to go and have a word with Lorenzo Montero and Lucas Valcra, our race winners, and as soon as he's rounded them all up, we'll be able to hear from all of them.
Well, that's kind of how you do it, right? You start in the very, very best position. And then you bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have asked for a better race. Got a good start, managed to build a gap, safe tires, safe push to pass. And yeah, we knew we had a great car towards the end. Even though the temperatures got higher and it got more difficult, we managed to bring it home first place.
You say save push to pass. I mean, how much did he save? How much did you have left over?
Around 200 seconds. So yeah, mega stint of my teammate. Thanks to him. Thanks to the team, thanks to my sponsor, and thanks everyone. I'm very happy to win the first race.
It's not a bad way to start the season. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
An excellent start to the season and an excellent start to a new relationship, drivers together for the first time. That result we've touched on is a bit provisional, given that there are a few things to be looked at, but I don't think there's anything that you could point the finger at and say they could have done better there.
No, absolutely. And I mean, at the end, he said he had 200 seconds left of push to pass. That makes it even more impressive from Lorenzo's point of view. What a great stint to begin his career here, really effectively in McLaren Trophy. So yeah, impressive performance there by the whole crew, really, the team, everybody. Didn't put a foot wrong. So very good.
Well, let's hear from Nina J. Paul next. She's found our Pro-Am winners, Eric Behrens and Alejandro Gapet.
Class winners, congratulations on your first win together.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great.
And it's the first race of the season, so how does this set the tone for the championship?
Perfect. I mean, such a great teammate. We had a good start and an amazing finish with a super Alejandro today.
Well, congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
So Alejandro Gapet, Eric Behrens taking class honours, and an excellent job done by the pair. And Cedric Lima and Julien Piguet, our AM winners, will be down there somewhere. So congratulations to Eric Behrens, who has had a good start to his McLaren association, was quick last year. And Julien Piguet next, because Ben has found one half of our Auto Vitesse and winning partnership.
We both look like you're about to, throw me out of Monza here, but you're very, very happy. You got your AM victory there, and it was also 9th overall, which is a brilliant way up the order.
Yes, it's a good, very safe race. Congratulations to Cedric, very good start, and congratulations to the team, because 1 week ago the car wasn't working. So for sure, for us, it's a good first race of the season.
You've raced together a number of times, but coming here for the opening round of the season must be pretty special to get a win at Monza.
Yeah, I know Cedric very well from many years, but this is the first race in McLaren, first podium together, so we are happy.
Always special. Go and enjoy.
Thank you.
Now, Julien Piguet's career goes back through all sorts of things for nearly 3 decades, from Formula Renault in the UK and internationally, whereas Cedric Lima has always...
Respirar parece fácil, ¿no? Simplemente hay que tomar aire Este se filtra, calienta y humedece. Recorre faringe, laringe, tráquea y llega a los pulmones por los bronquios gracias a la contracción del diafragma. El oxígeno pasa por los alveolos bronquiales y llega a la membrana alveolo-capilar donde se intercambia por CO2. Y todo esto pasa sin que te des cuenta. Así de fácil. En DKV hacemos algo parecido. Nos encargamos de todo lo complicado para que cuidar de ti y de los tuyos sea tan fácil como parece. DKV.
Cars having to limp to the pit lane on the opening lap. And Will Martin with a flat tyre, finding himself up the escape road. There was damage, a deflated tyre, but as he limped the car back, it was the damage that did for him, and that car never rejoined. Fabi tried to make his way up the order, but again found himself on the wrong side of the traffic, as also Cedric Lima found himself dropping down the order. Fabi then attacked Edgar Pierre, and it didn't go well. Pierre punted around into the gravel. Fabi carried on, but then pitted outside the window, so got a penalty for that. The contact, well, that's still being looked at. Next casualty, Josh Mason, as he got roughed up by Flavio in the area over at the Lesmo Benz, and when the pit window opened, everybody cycled through except for Fabi and Patrick Schober. They got a penalty for stopping outside of the window, and Luca Magnussen trying to make his move against Christian Brooks. This side by side for second place. Great racing, no contact between the two. It can be done. Magnussen then up into second place, and then another change for third as Riccardo Ianiello with a mega send went through on the inside at the Roger chicane. But Lucas Valcra, race winner with Lorenzo Montero. A great start to their McLaren Trophy Europe season. So the provisional results, Lorenzo Montero, Lucas Valcra, the winners from Callum Davis and Luca Magnussen in second, Gregor Yeats and Romain Ianiello in third. Largim Ali and Christian Brooks coming home fourth from Will Aspin and Harry Burgoyne, William Gosselin and Alessio De Leda sixth. Class winner seventh, Eric Behrens and Alejandro Capet. A class winning ninth, Cedric Lima and Julien Piguet. So winning drivers will make their way now to the podium. And just looking at some of the names in that, Tommy, that we didn't really get a chance to talk about. John Lancaster in 11th place, Aston Miller, Van Ryan from the back of the grid to 12th. Tomorrow's going to be a lively race.
Absolutely, very lively race, and obviously again we have success penalties being applied to the top three. That's going to change things a little bit. So yeah, I really can't wait for another race. I mean, really, today was just really shows us that we have a really quality field of drivers and obviously very experienced teams running it. Great start by Target Racing as well, and CSA, new teams. They are putting really good entries together, and yeah, just really looking very positive for tomorrow's race.
And fair play to McLaren, because clearly a lot of hard work's gone on over the winter to make the championship attractive, to get in touch with teams and explain the merits, rather than just saying, right, there are the dates, come on, enter. A lot of work has to go on these days, because there are alternative one-make GT-style championships. Why should I do yours rather than another? Well, McLaren have gone out there and explained the reasons and sold the reasons, and with a big GT programme. And I suppose also helped maybe by the fact that McLaren is a vogue name at the moment after Formula One success of last year. That can't hinder.